We're going to begin now. Again, thank you for joining. There are a couple of us here. We will be recording this so that we can share to other homeowners that were not able to join us today. My name is Tanying Yangsel. I am a senior housing counselor here at CHAYA. I work with homeowners who need help with foreclosure prevention, loan modification, refinancing, repair grants, anything related to owning a home. If you have any question, you can reach out to me. I am here today. The presentation is mainly done by Oda Friedheim. We have been working with her for a long time. Oda works for, she's a supervising attorney at Legal Aid Society. Hi, Oda. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Legal Aid Society?
Yes. Well, thank you first for organizing this and also the introduction, Henning. Yes, we have worked together on a number of things. So anyway, I'm the supervising attorney of our foreclosure prevention unit. And that's part, of course, of the Legal Aid Society, which provides legal services in many several areas like health law, employment law, immigration, benefits, and of course, housing. Our foreclosure unit does many different things to assist homeowners, you know, everything from assisting with loan modification to representing homeowners in foreclosure actions. We litigate cases, in particular, any kind of abusive real estate and lending practices, like we all know about predatory lending or, you know, scammers that take advantage of vulnerable homeowners. So we bring cases about that, and we're here to assist homeowners. And yeah, actually, I just realized that phone number at the moment is not working because due to COVID, we are still working remotely. And we have a helpline in Queens. I will announce it at the end again, but it is 718-298-8979. Again, it's 718-298-8979.
I can.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay, so we can
share that on the chat. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Before we start, just wanted to let you guys know, if you have any question, you can put it either on the Q&A. Right now, you're all muted because this is a webinar, so you can put your questions on the Q&A or the chat section. We have my colleague Tabish here. Tabish, just can you say hello? He's a
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, everybody.
Glad to be here. Tabish is here to help us with the behind the scenes. If you have any question, he will help us with that. A little bit about CHAYA. CHAYA was established 20 years ago, and we primarily serve South Asian and Indo-Korean communities of New York City, but we also, there are other communities that we also serve that are mostly in Queens. We have Housing Justice Department, Economic Justice, Civic Engagement. We have a small immigration department. And we have two locations. One is in Jackson Heights and the other one is in Richmond Hill. So our presentation is about property taxes and how to qualify and apply for property tax exemptions. I will pass it to Oda.
Okay, you're going to move the slides, right? Yes. So I think you all know what property taxes are, but it is, you know, basically authorized by state and city laws to support, you know, various city services such as education, sanitation, health and welfare, and others. Now, you always wonder, how do they actually calculate property taxes? They're based on the assessed value of your property. Now, what is an assessed value? That is simply a fraction of what the fair market value is. So as it's stated here, it's 6% of the market value of the property. And the value of the property is estimated each year by the Department of Finance and can be challenged. There are actually hearings. You get typically a notice in January, and there's usually a deadline by which you can challenge if you think the assessed value, or rather the market value is maybe overrated or maybe underrated. But I think you would be more concerned if it's overrated, because that obviously increases the assessed value. So, okay. And the tax, the actual rate, then the final tax is calculated by the city council. They, for properties of 1 to 3 units, that's what we're mostly concerned with today, is, well, they set basically a percentage of the assessed value of, in this case, it's 19.963% of the assessed value for the fiscal year that started last year, July 1st, 2021, and ends June 30th, 2022. Soon enough, the city council will more likely, once again, set a percentage of the assessed value on which then your property taxes are based. All right, next. Yeah. So also, this is kind of important to know. Most of you are familiar with that. How do you pay your property taxes? Well, if you have a mortgage on your home, most lenders or banks will require you to pay your property taxes to the lender into an escrow account. That is a special account from which the lender, the bank, pays the city's Department of Finance, and also actually pays your insurance premium. If the city raises property taxes, the escrow portion of your monthly payment will also increase. And you should also know that once a year, the bank or lender will actually send you an analysis and breakdown of your escrow account. Again, escrow account is not the bank's account as such that does administer it, but they have a certain duty to administer it properly and make payments from that escrow account promptly. So again, you will get usually a statement once a year, and you can then check if there is a shortage. Sometimes because the city may raise taxes or insurance premiums go up, there may be a shortage. If, on the other hand, if you do not have a mortgage on your property, you typically pay property taxes directly to the Department of Finance, typically on a quarterly basis. If, on the other hand, if you're a senior or you know anybody who is a senior and who has a reverse equity mortgage, this type of lender also does not set up an escrow account, and you are required to pay property taxes to the DOF. That's because reverse equity mortgages are the kind of mortgages that basically tap into the equity of your home, and you no longer make any mortgage payments, and that's why you have to pay the property taxes and insurance premiums yourself. And it's really important to do that, because otherwise reverse equity mortgage lenders will typically bring a foreclosure action. All right, next. Well, the real topic today is whether there are any programs that can reduce your property taxes. Well, depending on income, age, and whether you are disabled or whether you are disabled, you may be eligible for an exemption of your property taxes, which can reduce the assessed value on which the tax is based by as much as 50%. Exemptions are available to owners of properties with 1 to 3 units, condominiums, and cooperatives. Now, the real important point here is that there is a deadline each and every year, and that deadline is March 15th to apply for the exemption. And once you apply, the exemption, or it's really a reduction of what is owed, will take effect with the beginning of the next fiscal year, which would be July 1st, 2022. So this is critically important, that the deadline is March 15th, not a day later. Okay, next one. So the first typical exemption, we call it the Senior Citizen Homeowners Exemption, or CHAYA. And to be eligible, all owners must be 65 years or older, except if one of the owners is a spouse or sibling, then only one of the owners must be 65 years or older. That's really important. You know, I'm representing a couple. He is in the 70s, she is in her very early 60s, and would otherwise not be eligible, but because of this rule that the spouse does not have to necessarily be 65, we're able to apply. So but generally it's 65 years or older. The next thing, of course, is, there is a limit as to how much you can earn. So the combined annual household income of all owners that are on the deed cannot exceed $58,399 or less. So that's the income limit. And many seniors actually really fall very well within that eligibility criteria. Now, what is income? Income is really everything that comes into the household. That includes wages or salaries, Social Security, pensions, or any other retirement benefits, as well as rental income, which is important. The applicants must own and occupy the property as their primary residence at least for 1 year. Once granted, this is also very important, CHAYA must be renewed every 2 years, and the Department of Finance will typically send out an application to renew. So that's very important, because if you don't renew, then you lose that very valuable exemption. Okay, next. Well, there's another category, and that is homeowners who are disabled. Again, the income limit is the same as for CHAYA. In this case, the homeowner must present proof of disability, such as an award letter from the Social Security Administration, the United States Railroad Retirement Board, or the US Postal Service, or the Veterans Administration. The latter is because there are certain types of employments. For example, if you work for the post office, you actually don't pay Social Security, and that's why, or the same goes for people who work for the US Railroads. So that's why you don't necessarily have an award letter from the Social Security Administration. Again, you must occupy the property as a primary residence. And unlike CHAYA, DHE, must be renewed every year. That's very important. So it's not quite the same as CHAYA. Next. There is a veterans exemption, which is a little bit, not as clear cut. It is U.S. military veterans, widows of veterans, Gold Star parents who served during designated periods of particular wars are eligible for exemptions, regardless of income. Again, the benefits vary, and the application deadline, though, is the same, which is March 15th. Next. Well, there are two other benefits, STAR and Enhanced STAR. Most people are eligible for the regular STAR because it is available to households earning below $250,000, and it simply provides a credit. It's really a program that's run by the state. It's not a city program. So you get a credit for the basic STAR of about $300 per year. Now, there's also Enhanced STAR, which is available to household, people 65 or older whose income is, in this case, $92,000 or less. And the Enhanced STAR provides a credit of about $600. It's important to realize that you can have Enhanced STAR and CHAYA, or Enhanced STAR and the Veterans Exemption, or Enhanced STAR and the disabled exemption. So for more information on that, there is, website is very straightforward, www.tax.ny.gov, G-O-F. Or there's a phone number, 518-457-2836. Okay, next. What documentation do you have to submit? Well, first, for CHAYA, of course, proof of age, such as birth certificate, passport, driver's license, or any other governmental issued ID. Then proof of income, federal or state income tax return, or in many cases, people get very little Social Security that is not always taxable. And so if there's no tax returns were required to be filed, then submit all other proof of income, including income from rental, annuity earnings, capital gains, your Social Security award letter, anything that basically documents your income. The proof of income is the same as what we just discussed. And of course, then proof of disability, which we just mentioned, an award letter from Social Security, etc., or the Railroad Board or US Postal Service. Okay, that's it. Next. Now, this is a little bit more of a tricky question because sometimes the property owner doesn't exactly appear on the deed. So sometimes properties for purposes of estate planning are held in a trust. The homeowner is still the owner, but it is in a trust. In that case, the Department of Finance will require the trust agreement. If the property was willed to the applicant, then copy of the last will or the probate or court order. This is also important because we encounter many people, the parent passed away and, the descendants, the kids are typically still living in the home and often don't really know then how to interact with the Department of Finance to take advantage of certain benefits. So this at least gives you some idea what could be submitted to the Department of Finance if technically you just inherited the property. And same here, if the owner is deceased, you provide in addition to the will or other documentation, the death certificate. If the owner is living full-time at a residential healthcare facility, letter from the facility. To what extent, since one of the requirements is that you actually reside in the property, that also may be a little bit more difficult because, if you're long-term in a healthcare facility, then it's not clear whether you're still eligible. But the most important thing is to submit the application with any documentation because hopefully you will get the exemption. If the owner is living elsewhere, legal documentation of divorce, separation, or abandonment. Again, it's not clear if under those circumstances you're able to get the exemption. Next. So how do you apply? You can, of course, the easy way is to do it by mail, which is to download the application from the DOF website, and we'll go there in a minute, and mail it with supporting documentation, and the address is right here, New York City Department of Finance, Homeowner Tax Benefits, and there's a post office box 311, Maplewood, New Jersey, 07040. Now, why this particular office is in New Jersey, even though it's the City Department of Finance, we don't know. But that is in fact the mailing address if you send in the application for one of the exemptions by mail. Another way is to go on DOF's website, and I think Tang-Ying, you were going to show us how that works.
Yeah.
So if you click on the link that is part of our presentation, then the next thing that will come up is literally this. And then from there you go click on property owners. And then, I don't know, I can't, and then you pick.
Yeah, depending on
what. Small, yeah, the senior citizen, they're all the different, veterans, disabilities, and so on. It literally is the same list that we just went through, and you click on that, and you hopefully then will get a form. Can you go back to the address screen a little fast? Thank you. Okay, let's go back one slide. Thank you. Yeah, can we make it bigger? It's the New York City Department of Finance.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat. I'll put that on.
Okay, tax benefit. Yeah, you can, whoever just asked that can definitely copy it from there. And you can also, a lot of times if all you do is, if you have any ability to Google something, you put a DOF and you will find that information there. Sometimes you have to click on different things because it's not always set up in the most logical way, but it is definitely all there. Okay, next. Where are we now?
I think we're talking about tax lien sale now.
Yeah, so let's go there because, so we're the tax lien now. Okay. The reason we're bringing it up is, for two points. One is in the beginning, we talked about property taxes, and for whatever reason, sometimes people fall behind with their property taxes. And if, we don't have the exact numbers right here, but if you owe, many thousands of dollars of in your property taxes, it is possible, and there is a city law that allows the city to actually basically sell the debt that you accumulated for property taxes to a trust. So the best thing, of course, and we can talk about that briefly, is to avoid that, because a tax lien, once it's sold to a trust, it becomes pretty expensive to resolve it, because such trusts typically want down payment and the interest accrues and so on. So best is to avoid that and pay your property taxes on time. Next. Oh, this is just, this particular slide is just simply to show you, you know, how do you determine whether or not your property is on the tax lien list. But I should add that the law itself, the city law, requires the Department of Finance to send multiple notices to the homeowner. I believe it's 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, and 10 days. So it's at least 4 different notices. And yeah, 90 days exactly. Okay, so you will get multiple notices. And finally, is there another slide? Okay, how can I avoid my property being listed on the tax lien sale? Well, there are all kinds of different ways. So one is obviously, if for some reason you can get the money in some way, the best and quickest way, of course, is to pay everything you owe at once. But many people are not able to do that. So the city, the Department of Finance actually offers various payment plans. But, you know, one of them is called the standard payment plan, which, you know, gives you several options. One is to put a down payment of 0, as little as 0, and you can stretch the payments over a 10-year period. Obviously, if you can put down some down payment, you know, the monthly payments will be less. So the standard payment plan, again, allows you to stretch whatever you owe over many, many years, up to 10 years. But what's really important to consider is that while you have entered a payment plan with the city, which is really like an agreement, you must remain current with ongoing taxes, because otherwise you not only fall behind, but the payment plan might be canceled. So it is a requirement in order to enter such a payment plan that you remain current with new property taxes. And that's, again, why it is so important to be aware of any exemptions or reductions, because I can't tell you how many seniors we encounter that are eligible and still have not been able, or, you know, have known how to apply. In addition, if a homeowner has some equity in their property, that means, you know, some value, that's the difference between what the market price of the house is and what is owed, maybe by way of a mortgage or whatever. So the difference, the equity, the Department of Finance also has a number of plans that allows to, in a sense, tap into that equity to also pay property taxes. And, you know, there is low income, there is one for seniors. All of these are also listed on the DOF website, but that's a good time actually to call CHAYA or legal aid for assistance in navigating, you know, these different plans. So anything else, or should we go to Q&A?
Yeah. Thanks. Let's go to the Tabish.
Yeah, there is one question from Sharing. I'm sorry if I mispronounced anyone's name ahead of time. So the question is, how about for New Jersey?
Yeah, unfortunately, we are only covering, you know, how it works in the city of New York, because to be honest, I do not know, we don't know exactly how it works in Jersey. I can only suggest that, you know, there must be a similar website that also provides some information. In addition, in New Jersey, there are legal service providers that you can call. So that's about the best I can say, but we don't know the specifics.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Claudia had her hand up, but she put her hand down. So at the moment, this was the only question for
Yeah.
the time being.
Okay. Well, I would say that, you know, I know that only a very few people attended today. Hopefully we can distribute, you know, this information session a little bit more broadly. But if you yourself know any seniors who should be eligible for these exemptions, please share that information with them. In addition, we can only encourage you to that either you or anybody you know who needs assistance, call CHAYA or the Legal Aid Society. And again, our helpline number, I gave it before, it's 718-298-8979. Any other questions or concerns? Otherwise, we thank you for attending.
Yeah, I put the ODA's number on the chat and also the website for the forms. It's on the chat. If people want it, you can take a picture of this. Thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay, well,
we'll send
thank
it.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.